Hi, everybody. It's July 13th, and Lindsey Graham has died at 71 years old, shortly after visiting a Ukrainian missile factory. What's up with that? And at the same time, we also have Donald Trump, who reimposed the blockade on the Iranians in the Strait of Hormuz. Then on top of that, we also have the continuance of the Muslim takeover, which a lot of people may not want to hear, but it's happening. It's happening in Dearborn, Michigan. It's happening all over the country. It's happening in the UK. It's happening in Australia. It's happening worldwide. And we're going to talk about that a little bit towards the end of the show, and a little bit of we're going to cover some of the clips that I've been seeing. We'll see if it's just propaganda, but I have actually accumulated about 2 hours worth of different imams. And if you don't know what an imam is, it's like a pastor to the Muslims, and basically saying that they are going to invoke Sharia law. And so what is my problem with Sharia law? Well, my problem with Sharia law, as a police officer myself who took the oath, swore the oath to put the United States Constitution first and the American flag first, is that Sharia law imposes on the Constitution. It basically contradicts the Constitution. They will use our rights to basically destroy our rights. And they will say, well, we have a freedom of speech to practice our religion, but that religion in itself wants to supersede and override the United States Constitution. And the problem with this is that we have a lot of differences in our ways of life. And a lot of people aren't liking the violence that comes from this certain sect. Not every Muslim, obviously, but we need to talk about that issue. So we'll talk about that today. And again, we'll also talk about the Russia-Ukraine war, Israel, Lebanon. We'll cover all of that and what's really happening. And so at the end of the day, it's going to be a big show. So what do you guys think? Be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. What are your thoughts on everything that's going on? Honestly, I think it's quite interesting to see where we're at. Again, it's July 13th, 2026, and history is being made. It's a crazy time we're living in. I don't know if anybody else is just going on with their day and, thinking like all of this is normal, but I think we are living in a time where we kind of need to pay attention to all of this. We need to pay attention to the fact that, again, Lindsey Graham visited Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelenskyy, talking about Russian Patriot missile contracts and basically an entire contract that would allow the Ukrainian military, with your taxpayer dollars, to fund and continue this war against the Russians. And at the same time, we also have, again, Trump reimposing the blockade on the Iranians in the Strait of Hormuz. This shortly follows after a strike on Qasem Island, also in Sarik and many areas around the Persian Gulf. And then the Iranians had struck back in retaliation over the weekend, again striking U.S. bases in 5 different countries over the Persian Gulf, mostly Kuwait, Jordan, Bahrain, Qatar, and essentially Saudi Arabia. So very interesting to see where things are going. I think it's going to be quite an interesting thing that we're going into when we look at all of it. So again, let's get right into the news. I wanted to cover this first video first. What do you guys think about where we're at today? I think it's pretty crazy to see just how much things are actually turning in a strange favor. So again, let's start with Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham, again, 71 years old. They said he died of cardiac arrest. Now, I also think it's interesting that Mitch McConnell, by the way, has not shown his face. An AI, some people believe that an image was put out by his Twitter account, and it was his team that runs his Twitter, similar to Senator Lindsey Graham, if you didn't realize this. Lindsey Graham, when they announced his death, it was his team on his Twitter page who announced that he was dead. So who's to say that the same thing hasn't happened to Mitch McConnell? So again, before we get into this, we have to understand that Lindsey Graham was a senator. He has been pushing a lot of this entire Iran war and then the Ukraine-Russia war, really just a warmonger overall. Now, obviously, he was a U.S. senator. We should respect his life and his achievements and whatnot. But we also have to understand the fact that he was not interested in America. And we have clips also on my YouTube channel. I'll find it right after I show these, where Lindsey Graham is saying, I want to send your sons and daughters to go and fight and die for Israel. I'm not for you. I'm for Israel. And I made a short about this maybe a few months ago, where literally he's saying this, and he's just saying it shamelessly. So first, let's watch this clip where, again, Lindsey Graham confirmed dead at 71 shortly after meeting with Ukrainian President Zelenskyy. Again, this was just hours before his death.
Yeah. Got a little update for you here.
Yeah.
Just tell me when I can talk. But good visit with the president, right?
Yeah, I think we had really a good meeting.
Yeah,
The mood was good, and we had some very important results. And I think that the decision of President Trump about licenses, positive signals about Patriot licenses.
Patriot missiles, not licenses. It says on the captions incorrectly.
I'm pleased to announce, as of about 30 minutes ago, we've reached agreement with the White House on a version of the Russian sanctions bill that they will support. It means it's going to become law. So when I get back to Washington, I'm going to go with Senator Blumenthal to the Republican and Democratic leader to see if we can find time to move this Russian sanctions package that would give tools to President Trump to help end this war.
Tools for President Trump to end this war. So again, the theories are that either A, he did die of natural causes, sudden death. Again, they said that it was sudden illness, which was crazy. Again, a lot of confirmations say that it was from just natural causes, cardiac arrest. Donald Trump, he said he spoke to Senator Lindsey Graham just a little bit before his death. So very interesting there. But then when we see all of the connections here with Lindsey Graham and really how much he's been pushing this war, it's kind of interesting. So again, we also have this clip. Lindsey Graham's timeline, 48 hours before his death. U.S. Senator Graham visits drone production facility during Ukraine trip. Here's the picture of it. Lindsey Graham holding up a drone. The Ministry of Defense reported that drone production enterprises were hit in Kiev. This is where he was. This is exactly where he was. Moscow, July 11th. During the night strike on Kiev, the Russian military hit several enterprises of the military-industrial complex of Ukraine related to the production of drones, and the Russian Defense Ministry said this on Saturday, I mean. So when we look at that, quite crazy. Very interesting stuff. Then dies at 71 after a brief and sudden illness. Weird coincidence? I think so. I think it definitely is. So when we look at really all of that, I think it's absolutely insane. And I actually wanted to look for another clip here. Let me try to find it. Go to my studio here. You'll see some of my analytics. And intentionally probably watch this new banker clip too here maybe in this episode. Lindsey Graham. I made another short about him, basically saying that he wanted to send our sons to fight and die for Israel. Where is it? Shorts. This was a while ago, probably like months ago, I found this. So again, Lindsey Graham. Will this work? There's another one I can't find. Can't find it on here. Damn. Well, I have a clip of Lindsey Graham literally saying, we want to send your sons and daughters to fight and die for Israel. So really crazy. Wish I had more of these. I guess I don't have this in here. It's way at the end. I'm going to find this. 1 second. Got to find this. All this. Titles, claims. That's okay. We'll move on. But quite interesting when we see all of this. Pretty insane. So while this ad is playing, because I can't avoid it, I wanted to cover the U.S. blockade that happened with
save this recipe.
The U.S. blockade that Trump just reimposed on the Iranians in the Strait of Hormuz. I also wanted to cover that. But again, more on this Lindsey Graham story. I think it's honestly wild. Like, Lindsey Graham was the same person who literally said that, again, I want to send your sons and daughters to fight and die for Israel. So again, I think it's just crazy. You know, how do we not talk more about that? And honestly, it is something to pay attention to. So hold on. I do want to find this. I want to find this clip so bad. I have it on here in my shorts somewhere. And it's just old. It's old content. So it's way back here. Where do I find this filter? I know it's here somewhere. I mean, this was like months ago when I posted this. Go to the next page. Again, this was a while ago, so this might take me a minute. I wanted to pull this up before the stream, but I honestly totally forgot. Hopefully I can find this, pull it up here quickly. Where is it? Hopefully I don't pass it. I know I'm close. I'm getting there. But again, leave your comment. What do you think about Lindsey Graham and his death? Again, he was a U.S. senator, and that's obviously something we need to respect. We need to respect our politicians. We need to respect the fact that this was a man who died, and this was a man who lost his life at the end of the day, regardless of how. No matter what he promoted, no matter how many, embarrassing things were found out about him, especially in the Epstein files, everything we learned about him at Disney World, holding the little lollipop thing, right? Kind of strange there. And so a lot of weird stuff came up with Lindsey Graham, and a lot was revealed about him. But at the end of the day, we also need to remember that this was a man who, again, served our country, whether or not he did a good job, whether or not he believed in what he was doing. Somebody lost their life, and we have to, you can tell a lot about people about how they handle somebody's death. So there should always be respect when somebody dies, even if they don't respect you or wouldn't have respected you, right? So that's kind of my thoughts. As I'm looking for this video, I know we're close here. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I gotta find this clip. It's so relevant. I meant to pull this up before the stream. Again, insane though, what we're looking at. I think it's some pretty crazy times, ultimately. All right, now we're getting really close. There's forces, Caesar, CIA, realtor. But honestly, what do you think about Trump, too? And a lot of his statements, his stance on the entire Iran war and everything that's been going on. Honestly, I've seen some interesting things over the past weekend as I've taken this little mini break. Usually take the weekends off. I know we're getting close here. Where is it? I might have already passed it. Or maybe YouTube just deleted it on me. I think this is it. Is this it? Ah, dang it. It's not it. Where is it? I'm going to find this thing. I apologize. I wanted to have this ready. Totally forgot to bring this up right before the stream. But it's important. It's important because it adds a lot of context to what Lindsey Graham really believed in. Ah. Here we go. Was this it?
Trump is my favorite.
So more crazy statements from Lindsey Graham.
So I just want to say I feel good about the Republican Party.
Is this
I
it?
feel good about where we're going as a nation.
He sounds drunk.
We're killing all the right people and we're cutting your taxes.
He literally sounds like he's been drinking. This might be one of the clips. We'll just play it anyways. What is with this? Like, does anybody else see this reaction? Look at this guy. He's like so happy that America is going to die from this war. Evil laugh. So again, that's just one of the clips from Lindsey Graham, but that's still not the one I was really looking for. Lindsey Graham. YouTube really needs to get better at their filtering. I should be able to find these clips. I've posted so many shorts, it's just honestly hard to find stuff. I wanted to pull this up before the stream and totally freaking forgot. So annoying. Where is this? America first or Israel first? Where is it? Gotta find it. Swear I'm close. Ah, this is the one. This is the clip I was looking for. Sorry about that wait, but this is important. So take a listen to this.
With Israel.
Whoa, that's a big.
Forget it. I'm not with you. I'm with Israel. I will be with Israel.
Whoa, that's a big statement.
Get it. I'm not with you. I'm with Israel. I'll get it. I'm not with you. I'm with Israel. I'll get it. I'm not with you. I'm with Israel. Get it. I'm not with you. I'm with Israel.
Very important.
I'm not with you. I'm with
Hear it.
Get it. I'm not with you. I'm with Israel. Get it. I'm not with you. I'm with Israel. I'll get it. Get it. I'm not with you. I'm with Israel. I will be with Israel to our dying day. They're the best ally we could hope for. So we have a commander-in-chief with Israel to our dying day. They're the best ally we could hope for.
Look at this guy.
I will be with Israel to our dying day. I will be with Israel to our dying day. I will be with Israel
Spelled
to our
Lindsey
dying day.
Graham's name wrong. That's why it's over and over again.
So we have a commander-in-chief.
What a traitor.
Trump, who I think is Ronald Reagan plus.
Lindsey Graham, you are a shameful man. So again, Lindsey Graham is dead now, all of a sudden. So pretty crazy story there. Wanted to cover that. I think it's wild. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I think that, in my opinion, I think it's very likely that he could have been taken out. Could have been an inside job by the U.S., by the Pentagon, just because he's been continuing this war against the American people's will. And again, he was an Israel First politician and a senator for Israel First. He cared about Israel first. And, all the while, the United States is being occupied by the Israelis. So again, I've been saying this in other streams, that the United States is being occupied by both the Israelis right now, and then also we are being occupied by the Muslims, and this is happening. Whether or not people want to believe that, you look at the numbers, the numbers are growing. America has more Muslims in the country now than ever before for the first time in history. And it's not because, most white Europeans are Muslims, but it's because there's so many Muslims coming in with their religion and their customs and way of life that they're bringing that over here. And so at the same time, we also have a lot of Israeli politicians who are allowing this to happen via legislation because it's a part of the plan. It's a part of the entire clergy plan. And I've been saying this for a very long time. Okay, so ultimately, again, another clip I should just pull up right now. Get to the first page here. Got to go way back. So again, I think we're on page 1 again. Are we? Yeah. So Lindsey Graham, first time. So where is it? No, I'm close. Right here. The history of American and European immigration. So again, before we get into the next subject, foreign-born populations in the U.S. So again, YouTube really kind of washed this and didn't really let it get a lot of impressions. But when you look at it, the fascinating history of immigration in America and Europe. And then you look at these quotes. No, there isn't a white genocide by Rosa Schwartzberg, Jewish. Emily Goldstein, yes, diversity is about getting rid of white people, and that's a good thing, she says. Rabbi claims world peace can only be achieved once whites are no longer a majority in any country, by Jessica Schildebeck. Having white children is perpetuating white supremacy. Again, Brian Levitt and Sarah Siegel. Again, all Jewish names. The Dying of Whiteness, book written by this guy, Jonathan Metzl, Jewish. The Jews will lead the multicultural transformation of Europe. Look at what we see now. We have Muslim immigration and the politicians just allowing that to happen. Again, the Jews will lead the multicultural transformation of Europe. Again, that's from Barbara Lerner Specter, and she is Jewish. CNN's Andy Cohen. Everybody loves Andy Cohen, right? Andy Cohen from Bravo. Well, he said, I hate white people. Posted on November 20th, 2018. Commentary, no, Jews aren't white. So again, they don't like to take on that white identity. That's by Leo Leibowitz. So as much as we think we have a Muslim takeover, which we do, and Sneeko likes to say, that's not true, that's not happening. Well, Muslims also, it's part of their religion to deceive Christians into believing that they are not taking over. But when they gain enough in numbers, they will do that. And that is all part of the clergy plan, the Great Replacement, which is being run by the Jews right now. Mamdani says white neighborhoods should pay higher property taxes. The price is white. Again, forbid the whites to mate with whites. The white women must cohabitate with members of the dark races, the white men with black women. Thus, the white race will disappear, means the end of the white man, and our most dangerous enemy will become a memory, and our race will rule undisputed over the world. Our superior intelligence will easily enable us to retain mastery over the world of dark peoples. Nahum Rabanovich, Canadian rabbi. You white people are on the endangered list, and unlike, say, the bald eagle or some exotic species or a muskrat, you are not worth saving. In 40 years or so, maybe fewer, the world will not have any more white people around, and that's a good thing, he says. Again, that's Tim Wise, Jewish anti-racist activist. Interesting. Quite a racist statement from him. Again, we looked at that last one. Hold on, go back to that. The goal is abolishing the white. The goal of abolishing the white race is, on its face, so desirable that so many find it hard to believe that it could occur in any opposition other from the committed from white supremacists. Make no mistake about it. We intend to keep bashing the dead white males and the live ones and the females too until the social construct known as the white race is destroyed. And then you have all these different articles here. Harvard professor argues abolishing white race, abolish whiteness. You have all of this. Where do you think this comes from? So some people would have already, the whole narrative was that this was liberalism in America, which it is to a very large degree, but it actually at a greater level. And when you understand more of what's really happening, this is a Jewish supremacy problem in the United States right now, an Israeli occupation. And part of that, again, in their belief, is this blood libel of thousands of years, this kind of revenge on white Christians that they believe is necessary for the temple and for the Roman conquest and the Inquisitions, all of these things. They want to get payback for this, and because of the blood that was spilt in Europe of Jewish blood, and they believe that they want to get rid of white people and that this is what they're going to do it. Okay, so again, you have all of these articles right here saying it. You wonder where it comes from. Well, it usually comes from the Jews. And I don't say this as an anti-Semite. I'm saying this as an analyst and a researcher, and because this is a conversation and it is a very real thing happening in our country. H.R. 8800, National Defense Authorization Act, fiscal year 2027. This is going to be passed in the Senate to fuse the United States military and the Israeli military coming very soon. Again, this October, they're going to vote on this. They're probably going to vote it through. Again, so this is why I'm covering this specific subject. And again, when we're talking about the Muslims, we have to be sophisticated enough to understand that it is a lot of our Jewish counterparts and adversaries who are basically taking power in Congress and Washington, D.C., and they are allowing this to happen through the Supreme Court and through legislation and all of these things. And then, of course, through blackmail and through payoffs, AIPAC, all of these things, buying off politicians. And it happens like this. And so they open the borders, and who floods in? Well, it'll be people from these third world countries and countries that are currently at war right now, right? You have a lot of the Israelis who are pushing out Palestinians right now, committing a genocide that is happening. And these people, where are they going? Well, they don't want it. They're not able to live in Israel anymore, right? They're not able to live in Palestine. They're not able to live in their homeland. So where do they go? Well, again, Trump was part of this. He ended up being a part of an entire migration movement where a lot of these Muslims ended up going to Ireland and Scotland, where my ancestors come from, and then Germany, as well as where my ancestors come from, and then also, again, especially England and all of these places. And so who's getting hit the hardest? Well, it's all the white countries. It is Europe, is it not? You couldn't really disagree with it when you actually look at the videos on X, when you look at the actual data, right? So again, then you look, so the reason I'm showing these is because these quotes and these statements from prominent Jews and rabbis is because we have this debate that, well, it's the Muslims taking over America. No, it's not the Muslims. That's propaganda. It's the Jews taking over. No, it's not the Jews. It's the Muslims taking over. It's both of them. And it is part of, again, the Greater Israel Project. This is all part of the plan, the Kalergi plan, the Great Replacement. This is exactly what's going on. And historically, the Jews call this Gog and Magog, G-O-G and Magog, M-A-G-O-G, Gog and Magog. And it is the war of Christians versus the Muslims, basically. And whoever wins, essentially, will basically rule. And the Jews would rule over and fund both sides. So that's really the entire plan. That's why I'm reading all these quotes from rabbis. Not because I'm an anti-Semite, but because I think this needs to be exposed a little bit about what's really happening in the United States of America. And I find it to be unpatriotic and un-American for anybody who's not willing to speak about this, because this is absolutely happening. Again, the white race is the cancer of human history. This is from the Jewish activist Susan Sontag. We're only halfway through. 2,000 rabbis support that. The key to solving the social problems of our age is to abolish the white race. Again, that comes from Noel Igmativ, American history professor, Massachusetts College of Art. And then you see all these different quotes here. I won't go through all of them. I'll go through a few. U.S. rabbis envy Canadian counterparts' chance to welcome refugees. British Jews lay groundwork for influx of Syrian refugees. Bottom left-hand corner of this clip. Again, crazy. 10 Jewish groups defend plan to admit refugees. How can we call ourselves Jews and bar Syrian refugees? Dutch Jewish refugee village may shelter Syrians. Jewish groups slam White House for baby step on Syrian refugees. Jews unite to defend policy on Syrian refugees with few exceptions. Jews group lead push to crack open doors to Syria refugees. Again, these are people of total war. And you get the point. Over 1,000 U.S. rabbis petition lawmakers to welcome refugees. Well, I wonder why. Because we're so loving and because the white man is bad. Yes, according to the Jews. And that is the problem here. And again, this is not an anti-Semitic thing I'm trying to say. I don't consider myself a racist. I don't consider myself an anti-Semite. I consider myself a Christian, but I also consider myself a historian. I consider myself a researcher, an analyst. That's what I do. And at the end of the day, we have to say what's actually happening. We have to say what's really going on in our country. This is what's going on. And we are not allowed to talk about it. So again, if you are Jewish listening to this, understand that I don't hate you. I don't have any kind of hatred towards Muslims or Jews. I think it's important that, you know, we have to have a real conversation. If you have a problem with America, then maybe you ought to leave. And at the end of the day, it's just all you're doing is creating more animosity, and, you know, you're not helping your case. So again, all the people behind removing the White Australia policy and forcing immigration and multiculturalism were Jewish every single time. Again, Walter Lippmann, Isl Lieber, Mark Lieber, Richard Pratt, Colin Rubenstein, Andrew Marikas, David Beidel, and then Frank Lowy, and a lot more. And again, that's what's happening right now. America and Europe. America and Europe is seen as Amalek to the Jews. America and Europe are seen as Esau in the Torah. And they believe that we, for the punishment, for basically the punishment for the Romans, the modern day Romans, which would be America and European countries, all of our people, basically white Europeans, native white Europeans, we would be essentially replaced. That is why they call it the Great Replacement. The Kalergi 11-point plan to subvert Western civilization, the creation of racism offenses, continuance of change to create confusion, the teaching of sex and homosexuality to children, the undermining of schools and teachers' authority, huge immigration to destroy identity, the promotion of excessive drinking, emptying of churches, an unreliable legal system with bias against victims. Again, emptying of churches, though. I want to say that. You see that happening all over the place. You see in Dearborn, Michigan, you see, again, a lot of these Muslims will come here, not necessarily Jews, it'll be Muslims, but they will pray in front of Christian or Catholic churches, and they will, guess what? Who doesn't go to church then? Christians and Catholics. Because they're scared of these people. Why wouldn't you be? They're praying in front of your church, they're trying to make a statement, they're taking up space. Let's just be honest about what it is. And so to say that it's a peaceful religion is absolutely insane. At the same time, it is the Jews who are allowing this to happen. And because they are occupying and overrepresented in our current government at this current time in history. An unreliable legal system with bias against victims, dependency on the state or state benefits, control or dumbing down of the masses, encouraging the breakdown of the family. You see this in Hollywood movies and music videos and music itself. And then you have this quote, "We intend to turn Europe and North America into a mixed mongrel race of Asians and Negroes ruled over by Jews." Jewish EU founding father, Richard Kondahov Kalergi. Taken from his book, Pacture Idealismus, in 1925. And then again, you look at the Jewish NGOs promoting mass immigration. All these different companies here. The HIAS, the IRAP, all these different organizations. Europe's population changed from 25,000 for 2025 to 2100. So that's pretty much what we're looking at. Russia, 17.6 million. Finland, 1 million. Poland, 18.8 million. The UK, can't really read that. It's like 4.8 million. 6.8 million. I can't really read it. It's small writing. Iceland, 35,000. Norway, 208,000. Sweden, 710,000. Germany, 13.1 million. Italy, 23.8 million. France, 1.8 million. Spain, 14.8 million. Ukraine, 23.8 million. So tell me again that this is all not happening. You know, you're not, they can't just continue calling people anti-Semites and conspiracy theorists when these things are absolutely happening. So yeah, this is the very real incidents of the Kalergi plan and the taking over America, which we're going to talk about more. I'm going to cover more of those videos in this episode. But first, again, now I wanted to cover this Trump saying the U.S. will launch Iranian blockade in the Strait of Hormuz.
Out of the Middle East, where the U.S. and Iran are currently locked in a power struggle over the Strait of Hormuz.
So President Trump writing that the strait remains open, adding the U.S. will now reinstate its naval blockade in the crucial waterway. But this time, Trump says the U.S. will only stop Iranian ships from passing through and just going to let every other country have open use for a small fee.
However, Iranian leaders claim they have control, and they say the strait is closed. Officials in Tehran are accusing the U.S. of endangering the world's oil supply and say they will manage the strait with, quote, strength and power.
We are already seeing a rise in oil and gas prices amid this back and forth, with Americans now paying almost 10 cents more at the pump compared to just last week. NBC News international correspondent Matt Bradley has been following all the back and forth. He joins
So the
us
war
from Tel Aviv.
continues.
So Matt,
So do the gas prices going up.
And degraded Iran's ability to attack commercial ships. We also saw several U.S. allies under fire from Iran this week. How stable is it? And if you're trying to take your ship through the Strait of Hormuz, how much confidence would any independent operator really have in this scenario?
Yeah, I mean, not much confidence at all, and that's why we've already seen the number of ships that have been going through the Strait of Hormuz decrease to essentially the level that we saw before that memorandum of understanding was signed by President Trump and by Iran last month. So we're talking about a return to the status quo in so many different ways, because first of all, it's clear that the main thing that that memorandum of understanding was designed to resolve was governance and passage through the Strait of Hormuz. That is clearly still an open wound in this conflict, and one that could lead to even more violence. So we haven't really seen any fighting since overnight, which was the last time that we saw the United States striking Iran, and that was on the U.S. side. The Iranians, according to several regional allies of the U.S., have been firing at various countries throughout the Gulf region, including countries like Kuwait, Bahrain, Jordan, and Oman. So this is an issue that is really standing in the way of just about every other aspect of this ceasefire.
Definitely is.
Matt, any word on a timeline in terms of when peace talks, any sort of negotiations may resume at this point?
It's a great question, Vicky, and the fact is that we haven't heard any.
So before they even talk, it's important to remember that even Trump said himself that he doesn't want to negotiate with the Iranians anymore. And again, you know, I still believe we should not be involved in this Iran war. But now it's like we have to win, because we either have to win or we have to walk away and take a different country and focus on Venezuela, which is already happening simultaneously. They're not talking about that. But when we look at the Strait of Hormuz and the access and this fight right now, the Iranians were saying, well, we will charge the world 20% if you want to pass through and get oil. And now the Americans are saying, well, we'll charge 2%. And so basically kind of counter-offering and making a better deal in order to get people to work with the United States and to work with us. And here, who knows if we'll even keep our word, right? The United States has a tendency to not keep its word when it comes to a lot of these geopolitical deals that are made. And again, it's important to note, we already were controlling the Strait of Hormuz before all of this started. Before this entire Iran war started, guess who controlled the Strait of Hormuz? It was the Americans. We controlled it. Ultimately, we had bases that were secure over the region, and we were making money. Everything was good. Oil prices were good. Now we are struggling, and the oil prices are going right back up. So it's important to make that distinction.
Anything at all. We have had no word of any rescheduled negotiations. We haven't seen any real effective negotiations for about 2 weeks since we saw negotiators meeting in Doha and Qatar, but by all accounts, that went nowhere. And what we're talking about now, again, are not these 60 days of negotiations toward a comprehensive deal. That looks very far away. If anything, the negotiators and all of the talks, if they were to happen, would still be focused on the primary issues that brought us up to this memorandum of understanding. That the Strait of Hormuz should be unblocked, that the fighting should stop. Both of those things are still ongoing.
All right, Matt and Bradley, we appreciate it. Thank you, Matt.
We thank you for watching, and remember,
so yeah,
stay
that's pretty much
updated on
everything that's
breaking
going
news
on with the Iran blockade. The Iran blockade is now back in place. Okay, and when we look on marinetraffic.com, we can see all of the updates with what's going on in the Strait of Hormuz. So as we zoom in here, kind of get an insight into what's new from last week. So when we look at the actual strait, guess what? Not a lot of traffic going through. Okay, and we have this Jersey Devil 404, which is not a real vessel, by the way. This is a troll vessel, as they call it, basically to trick analysts into thinking that there is an actual American tanker crossing the Strait of Hormuz. That's not real. Whether the Americans put that there, whether the Iranians put that there, it doesn't matter. Again, these are basically fake vessels. 404 God. Like, you know, none of these are really real. And so it's basically a troll on analysts. But when we look at the actual traffic in the Strait of Hormuz from what we're looking at, the patterns, nothing's changed in months as I've been looking at this map. Nothing, really. We still have this. This is basically the blockade. And again, we also have a lot of docked ships here, anchored ships, crude oil tankers and vessels, LPG tankers, LNG tankers, and they're all basically anchored right here just east of Fujairah. That's always where they're at. And again, same area just west of Sharjah and Dubai. And then we have Qatar. Again, more anchored vessels and a lot of strikes taking place in Qatar right now. Same thing with Bahrain, a lot of military movements. But again, when we look at the entire Persian Gulf, everything looks the same. I've been tracking these little spots here where these crude oil tankers seem to be anchored up. And I've also been paying attention to the map on Karg Island. Nothing here. Pretty much just the same thing we've been looking at for months. Nothing's changed. Iranians pretty much securing the entire zone. And then when we look to the west, we see the Red Sea, north to south traffic, everything going through the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. So we still have traffic going through there, basically forced to go in and around. And then the Suez Canal, still limited traffic through here, very limited. But we do seem to have some Liberian oil tankers and chemical tankers going through there. And Liberia, again, is basically a proxy of the United States through our marine vessels there. So again, we're seeing more traffic going through the Suez Canal, but who knows how long that's going to last. Again, in Port Said, we still have a ton of vessels anchored down right here, not moving, and they've been stuck there for a while. When we look near Cyprus, big trading route, a lot of scattered activity here. When we look Lebanon, again, limited traffic, no ships or no vessels really going to or from. Again, we have a French vessel here. And when we look at all of this, it doesn't look like there's a lot of traffic going to South Lebanon, of course, because the Israelis are occupying that right now. And then we have Israel, which seems to have pretty normal traffic going to in and out. So nothing really changed. And then lastly, we're always looking at the southern tip of Africa, the Cape of Good Hope here, which is where you'll typically see a lot of these oil tankers going all the way around just to get to Europe or to Sri Lanka, just south of India. So that's pretty much what's going on with the marine traffic. So again, how has this been affecting oil? Oil prices at $83.19. WTI crude is at $78.14. Murban crude's at $77.55. And natural gas is down at $2.89. Why the UAE is taking a bigger piece of America's LNG crown jewel. XRG has expanded its stake in the Rio Grande LNG project, giving the UAE a larger role in one of America's most important LNG export facilities with Washington's apparent backing. So a lot of big news happening with oil, but at the end of the day, the oil prices seem to be going up because analysts are realizing and Wall Street's realizing that we seem to be ramping up this war all over again. When we look at the gold prices, gold is declining again. We're now under $4,000. We were above $5,200 before this war started. Now we're at $3,994 an ounce. And then with silver, $57.43. So gold's taking a hit. When we look at crypto, again, you look at crypto, not much different. We also have the Fear and Greed Index currently sitting at 27 right now. So not much different from last week. Bitcoin's at 62,000. Ethereum at 1,765. Again, XRP at $1.06. Solana at $74.68. Hyperliquid at $63.34. Chainlink at $7.84. And Cardano at 15 cents. And then with a lot of these different assets, like Hedera, 0.066 cents. So Avalanche sitting at $6.40. So the crypto market's basically right where it was. Now, other analysts are saying that we could see something with the Clarity Act when it comes to crypto by the end of August. We actually could see something. We could see something, by the end of July. So by the end of this month, we could get some kind of vote. Doesn't mean it's going to be a good vote. In my opinion, I don't really know. It seems like the banks are the only ones who don't want this to pass, along with a lot of the Democrats, for whatever reason. And in my opinion, I think it's crazy, because how are we going to pay for any of this war? Right? It's really a way to suppress this emerging market from going on. And, these banking regulations, when we can't pass these bills, China's over here taking over with Bitcoin and all these different crypto industries, right? We have El Salvador, which is using Bitcoin regularly, and it's a big part of their wealth, and it's a big reason they've been able to restabilize their economy. But here in the United States, we're suppressing this emerging market. Pretty terrible stuff. It's not good. And then the stocks ended today lower as oil prices surged on renewed Hormuz tensions. SK Hynix lead chip stocks and the sell-off. So again, stock market, everything's pretty much down today when it comes to the markets and what we're looking at there. On top of that, again, Trump says the U.S. will blockade Iran and Strait of Hormuz and charge ships for straight passage. We covered that a little bit. The U.S. military began another round of strikes against Iran on Monday, U.S. Central Command said, as U.S. President Donald Trump said earlier on Monday that the United States is reinstating a blockade on Iran in the Strait of Hormuz and will charge other ships for safe passage. The move escalates struggle for control over the critical waterway after mutual attacks in recent days. The U.S. military said it would resume its blockade of Iranian ports on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern. The U.S. launched several waves of heavy strikes on Iran into Monday morning, hitting some 140 targets over an Iranian attack on a container ship in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran retaliated by targeting countries across the Middle East. The exchanges of fire sparked by Iranian attacks on ships in the Strait have cast increasing doubt on the interim peace deal reached last month. The U.S. lifted a blockade from mid-April as part of the deal, which also called for the Strait to be fully reopened. The U.S. had also, until now, said that the Strait should remain open without tolls at all, its pre-war conditions. And then, of course, Governor Henry McMaster announced at a news conference Lindsey Graham's sister, Darlene Graham Norton, has been named as her late brother's temporary replacement in the U.S. Senate. Trump said Monday he's recommended Lindsey Graham's sister as the temporary replacement in the U.S. Senate. Graham, one of Trump's closest allies in Congress and an advocate for the U.S. military aggression in Iran, died on Saturday at 71. And again on Friday, he was at the Ukrainian drone facilities inspecting and looking at new projects there. So who knows, maybe the Russians had something to do with it. Maybe it was an inside job by CIA and just to get rid of a guy who is really trying to continue this entire war. Who really knows, right? Or it could have just been natural causes and cardiac arrest like everybody is saying. So we'll see. Meanwhile, judge said that the Trump IRS lawsuit was filed for improper purpose, refers to lawyer for possible discipline. President Donald Trump's lawsuit against the Internal Revenue Service over his leaked tax returns was filed for an improper purpose, a judge said Monday in a scathing decision that referred one of his lawyers for potential disciplinary action and categorized the $10 billion complaint as an exercise in self-dealing. U.S. District Judge Kathleen Williams accused Trump and his lawyers of having manipulated the court system when he sued a federal agency under his control, bypassing a requirement that parties in a lawsuit must have advertised interests and laying the ground for a settlement that granted him immunity from tax audits and created a fund to compensate allies of the president who say they were unjustly persecuted. Again, I think about Howard Lutnick with this. Think about the Cantor Fitzgerald scandal with the, again, tariff buybacks and all of that. That was awfully weird. And again, who's really seen their $5,000 Doge checks, right? Never saw those. U.S. District Judge Kathleen Williams accused Trump and his lawyers of having manipulated the court system when he sued a federal agency under his control, bypassing a requirement that parties in a lawsuit must have advertised interest in laying the groundwork for a settlement that granted him immunity from tax audits. The judge stopped shortly of explicitly voiding the deal shielding Trump from tax scrutiny, but said the government cannot claim the agreement was the result of a legitimate legal process. Whether the executive branch actors can privately agree to themselves and their former client bank immunities and billions of dollars in tax monies for legally undefined grievances was never an issue advanced to its court, said Williams, an appointee of President Barack Obama. The question is whether the parties could do so by claiming to be adverse and engaging the legitimacy of a court proceeding. The answer is a resounding no. So the IRS is, again, striking back. And again, it kind of reminds me of this clip. Again, I wanted to go to that. Now it's a good time to, I guess. So I just released this one video on YouTube. Of course, it's not getting a lot of views just because, you know, it's not necessarily content that you're supposed to see. But this is the truth about the banking system. Right here. Maybe you've seen this video, maybe you haven't. But this is absolutely exactly what's going on.
Hello. My name is Montague William III. And what I will tell you may well sound absurd, but the less who believe it, the better for me. For you see, I'm in banking and
The
big
industry. I love this
For
poem.
many a year we have controlled your lives, while you all just struggle and suffer in strife. We created the things that you don't really need, your sports cars and fashions and plasma TVs. I remember it clearly how all this begun. Family secrets from father to son, inherited knowledge that gives me the edge, while you people lie sleeping at night in your beds. We control the money that controls your lives, whilst you worship false idols and wouldn't think twice about selling your souls for a place in the sun. These things that won't matter when your time is done. But as long as they're there to control the masses, I just sit back and consider my assets, safe in the knowledge that I have it all, while you common people are losing your jobs. You see, I just hold you in utter contempt. But the smile on my face, well, it makes me exempt. For I have the weapon of global TV.
Important, listen.
Which gives us connection and invites empathy. You would really believe that we look out for you, while we bankers and brokers are only a few. But if you saw that, you'd take back the power. Hence, daily terrors to make you all cower. The panics, the crashes, the wars, and the illness that keep you from finding your spiritual wholeness. We rig the game, and we buy out both sides to keep you enslaved in your pitiful lives.
So we rig the game and buy out both sides. And again, here we just read about how the IRS literally told the President of the United States, nope, your lawsuit's not good, get out of here. And basically, no authority over the IRS. The bankers. And so it really reminds you, who's really in control? Is it President Trump? Is it the Congress, or is it those who issue and control the money? Like Mayor Amschel Rothschild said, permit me to issue and control the money in the nation, and I care not who makes its laws.
So, go out and work as your body clock fades. And when it's all over, a few years from the grave, you'll look back on all this, and just then you'll see that your life was nothing. A mere fantasy. There are very few things that we don't now control. To have lawyers and police force was always a goal, doing our...
This was hard hitting for me, because I'm a police officer, right? Or that's, and these people really believe that they control everything. And they do. In many cases, in many contexts, the bankers do control the world. Even the police, even the lawyers.
Bidding while you march on the street. But they never realize that they're only just sheep. For real power resides in the hands of a few. You voted for parties. What more could you do? But what you don't know is they're one and the same. Old Gordon has passed good old David the reins, and you'll follow the leader who was put there by you. But your blood, it runs red, while our blood runs blue. But you simply don't see it's all part of the game. Another distraction, like money and fame. Get ready for wars in the name of the free. Vaccinations for illness that will never be. The assault on your children's impressionable minds. And a microchipped world. You'll put up no fight.
Neuralink.
Information suppression will keep you in tow. Depopulation of peasants was always our goal. But eugenics was not what we hoped it would be. Oh yes, it was us that funded Nazis. But as long as we own all the media too, what's really happening does not concern you. So just go on watching your plasma TV, and the world will be run by the ones you can't see.
It's absolutely true. The bankers run everything. Who controls the game in Monopoly? It's the bankers. When you play the game of life, the board game, who controls it? Well, it's the guy with the money. It's the banker. It will always be the banker. The banker controls the game. Bankers are like God. And when I say bankers, I don't mean the people who work at the bank. Those are just, again, other peasants to the bankers. I'm talking about the J.P. Morgans, the Jamie Dimons. Again, I'm talking about the Lord Jacob Rothschilds. I'm talking about the men who created it, the Morgan Stanleys, the Goldman Sachs. These men, basically, are the reason everything really continues on. And the entire machine, the simulation, continues going like an orchestrated symphony. And you follow right along. And so I loved this, and that's why I wanted to play this, because it's absolutely true. And this is the fact of the matter. This is the reality you are living in. The bankers control the world, and they always will. He who controls the money controls Congress, and he controls the world. So there's just no doubt about it when you look at really everything that's going on. Meanwhile, with the Israel-Lebanon news, I also wanted to get into that. Israeli drone strikes Lebanon despite the U.S. brokered framework deal. Latest strikes reportedly killed one as Amnesty urges probe to earlier Israel attacks, which killed 24 citizens. So everybody's paying attention to Lindsey Graham. Everybody's paying attention to these tit-for-tat U.S.-Iran strikes over the weekend. Everybody's paying attention to the Sneeko debates and Nick Fuentes and the Charlie Kirk case. There's so much to pay attention to. But you also have this war in Lebanon that really is important because it pretty much decides the course of this entire war. Okay? And so you have to understand. This is, again, from Al Jazeera. A man was killed when an Israeli drone struck his motorcycle in the Lebanese town of Kafr Raman. According to state-run media, the latest attack, despite a United States brokered framework agreement, intended to pave the way for a phased Israeli withdrawal. Also on Friday, another young man was seriously injured in the same area of southern Lebanon after a drone targeted his vehicle. He was transferred to hospital, Lebanon's national news agency reported. Pretty wild. In an incident earlier this day, 2 people were injured when an Israeli drone struck a pickup truck that was unloading rubbish on the outskirts of town in Chokin and Kfar Dahal in the Nabatea district, NNA said. Separately, Israeli demolition operations shook the broader town of Qiyam overnight. The NNA also said drones targeted the town of Al-Faqqa. No casualties were reported there. The attacks were after the Amnesty International called for war crimes investigations into 3 earlier Israeli strikes in March that killed 24 citizens, including 12 children. The attacks hit... Hold on. Everything's got to be glitchy. The attacks hit homes in Tyre, Sidon, and Nabatea districts on March 6th, 12th, and 13th, killing 6 women, one of whom was pregnant, and 6 men. At least 18 people were wounded. Amnesty said on Thursday that its investigation found grounds to conclude that Israeli forces violated international humanitarian law by striking civilians or civilian property, failing to distinguish between military and civilian targets, or failing to limit civilian harm. Within the space of just a week, the Israeli military obliterated the entire families, including a dozen children in Lebanon, demonstrating a callous disregard for civilian lives. How many more families will have to pull the body parts of their children from the rubble of this devastating cycle of war crimes? Said Amnesty's Christine Berkeley. So, again, that's what the Israelis are up to today and yesterday. Meanwhile, we also have all of the news happening today with the Russia-Ukraine war. Ukraine-Russia war's latest. Pretty big. Kiev hits 15 Russian ships as Kremlin says it will monitor coalition of warmongers in Paris. Ukraine's drone commander says forces hit 15 vessels in the Sea of Azov shipping route overnight, including 7 tankers. Submit a question for Michael Kart's live in question tomorrow. So again, it's just 13 hours ago. Kremlin monitoring coalition of warmongers in Paris after Russia and Ukraine exchanged strikes. What you need to know. We're not bringing you live updates for now, but so 3 killed in Moscow, 3 people have been killed, and 5 injured in a Ukrainian drone attack on the wider Moscow region in Russia, according to its governor, Andrei Vyarbov. Vyarbov said Russia air defense units downed 81 drones over the region overnight. The interceptions happened over 14 areas in the region, he said. Ukraine's prime minister steps down after a year. Ukrainian Prime Minister Yulia Severdenko stepped down yesterday as Vladimir Zelenskyy began a reshuffle of his government. Zelenskyy said he was grateful to the outgoing PM appointed last July, but that Kiev would be changing its political strategy ahead of the winter. He also said he had offered a new and important position for the former premier. Zelenskyy did not specify who he would ask to lead the government or what Sviridrenko's new position would be, but he expects MPs to make the corresponding changes. So again, that's what's happening in Russia and Ukraine right now. Pretty wild when we see all of it. So we have to consider all of this big news happening when it comes to this entire war. Okay. Meanwhile, we have this Muslim takeover. Okay, so again, now we're going to get into some of these clips covering, why I think we need to really talk more about this issue. This is, meanwhile, in Manchester, United Kingdom. Again, they've got machetes. Welcome to England. So, regardless of when this even was, why is this happening in a first world country? Why are we allowing these people into our countries? I mean, they are taking us back 1,400 years. Like, this is not the future. This is not what America should look like. This is not what England should look like. None of these are English people, by the way. These are all literal immigrants, Muslims, and they're waving around swords like it's literally 27 BC. Insane. Crazy. Brave man asks Muslim, why do you live in a white Christian country and not your own country or an Islamic country? He tells you.
It's not a white country because I want to tell people about Islam. And if I stay in a Muslim country, they're already Muslims. So there's no point of me telling them about Islam, right? So I have to be in a place where people are not Muslim, right? So if I'm in the UK, there's a lot of people who are from different religions, different faiths, where I can have a dialogue, because this is what I do, right? Interfaith, religious discourse, and all of that. So I engage with different people.
Could a Christian move to a Muslim country and freely and openly convert the people from Islam to Muslim? To Christian?
Well, ideally, under Islamic law, no, you're not allowed to, because Christianity is false, while Islam is the truth.
So because they say Islam is the truth and Christianity is false, you have no right to go over to their countries and try to impose your religion on them. But they can come over to Christianity and impose their false religion, the real false idols here. They can try to impose their false religion onto us. And obviously it is. Do you ever see happy Muslims? I never see happy Muslims. I never see Muslims who are advanced. They seem like they are always like 1,000 years in the past, and they're extremely violent, and they're trying to bring this anti-American attitude into our country, and they want to change our country into something different. They believe that Christianity is a false religion. Well, sorry, buddy, I got news for you. This country was founded by Christian men and Freemasons, of whom were foundationally Christian at that time. So I really don't want to hear how we need to become a Muslim country. We were the ones who freed you and gave you all of the essential abolition from slavery. All of this came from the white European Christians. Our religion is the reason that your religion even has the right to stay here. So for these people to come over to our country and say that, well, Christianity is a fake religion and we need to change it. I'm coming over to America to change it. I can't change people from Christianity to Islam if I don't come to a new country. Well, it's like, so basically you're just going to abuse our immigration laws in order to change our country into a third world Muslim country. You want our women to wear burqas, and you want to punish the women for showing their ankles, and you want the men who are not Christians to be slaves and to be taxed. You want to take our property and our land. What is the difference between the Islamic people and the radical Jewish people and the Zionists, really, I should say? What is the real difference between that? Because when I see videos in Israel and I see these same people violently taking over homes from Palestinians, well, you're just doing that to Americans now. So what makes you think you have the right, when we brought you over here from your war zone and give you free money under our system so that you can open up a business, put your own language on it? This is why immigration is a major problem in this country. This is why we need to get rid of this 14th Amendment, and there needs to be some kind of critique of it, and there needs to be a change, an amendment to this 14th Amendment, because it's allowing this kind of behavior. You're allowing invaders to come over to your country and to change your country and your homeland. Basically, people who have no ability to assimilate. They don't want to assimilate. They don't believe in the American flag. They want to change it with a Sharia flag. They want to change our churches into mosques. They want to take up space in the streets and pray at 5 a.m. for their God, and basically disrespecting all of those who don't believe in their God. And it's just absolutely insane. This is not a religion of peace. Nobody will ever convince me of that.
Don't allow these harmful ideologies to infiltrate into our people.
When tolerance becomes a one-way street, it leads to cultural suicide. When I am able to fly to Saudi Arabia with my Bible in hand, with my cross around my neck, to go to Mecca and go to a church, then guess what? We're good to go. But until that point, we have to understand the objectives and the goals
are to dominate and to take over. And so again, if you don't believe me, here are two quotes that literally say it. I was called a liar for my statements on Sharia law and its rules against non-Muslims. Here you go. So I pulled these up. These are my screen recordings, my screenshots. Here's the exact quote from Quran 973, which is identical in the text of Quran 66:9 from the widely used Sahih International Translation. O Prophet, fight against the disbelievers and the hypocrites and be harsh upon them, and their refuge is hell, and wretched is the destination. That's in the Quran. That's for anybody who's not a Muslim. And this is a peaceful religion? I call bullshit. You also have, fight those who do not believe in Allah in the last day, nor comply with what Allah and the prophets have to say. Hold on. Pull this up and get this out of the way. There we go. Nor comply with what Allah and his messenger have forbidden, nor embrace their religion of truth from among those who were given the scripture, until they pay the tax, willingly submit, or are fully humbled. So don't tell me that Islam is a religion of peace. And if you still don't believe me, I have one more quote here. Hold on. Let me find it. So again, right here. One of these is a video. Where is it? Well, I did have it. I guess not. Anyways, you get the point. For those who do not believe in Allah in the last day, nor comply with what Allah and his messengers have forbidden, nor embrace their religion of truth from among those who were given the scripture, until they pay the tax, willingly submit, or they are fully humbled. Horrible. That is not a religion of peace. That is not the religion of a peaceful divine God. And we should not accept that or tolerate that in our country. Here's more. Muslim, we are commanded to terrorize the disbelievers. It is our religion. It is clearly in the Quran. It is commanded from Allah.
This means terrorize them. We're commanded to terrorize the disbelievers. And it's a religion, like I said.
Commanded to terrorize the disbelievers.
The Quran says very clearly in the Arabic language, turhibuna. This means terrorize them. It's a command from Allah. We're commanded to terrorize the disbelievers. And this is a religion, like I said.
Commanded to terrorize the disbelievers.
The Quran says very clearly in the Arabic language, turhibuna. This means terrorize them. It's a command from Allah. We're commanded to terrorize the disbelievers. And this is a religion, like I said.
Commanded to terrorize the disbelievers.
The Quran says very clearly in the Arabic language, turhibuna. This means terrorize them. It's a command from Allah. We're commanded to terrorize the disbelievers.
You're getting the point. This is not a religion of peace. You can never call it a religion of peace. Meanwhile, total remigration immediately. What the F is this? So let's take a look at this video. This is recent. Here's a state trooper pulling over this immigrant, a guy who can't speak English. He had his brights on while driving down the road. Officer pulls him over and says, hey, you know you had your brights on, right? He's like, what are brights? He doesn't even know what brights are, can hardly speak English, can hardly be understood or understand what this cop is saying.
Are you the registered owner of the vehicle?
Yeah.
You have a driver's license with you? You got the vehicle in park, right?
Didn't even have the vehicle in park.
Alright. You realize the speed limit here is only 55, right?
55?
55.
And here is 50 or 55? How much is here?
55.
55. And I'm coming?
You're doing 64.
64.
You also have your high beams on. You're not supposed to have your high beams on when you got traffic around you.
Hey, Dearborn Police Chief, is this right? Is this okay? Should we have more of this in our country, or is this officer just doing a terrible job? No, this officer's completely correct, and I feel for this officer. I've pulled over so many of these kinds of drivers who, pretend to not understand what you're saying. They pretend all of this stuff, but then they play stupid, or they really just don't know the laws. They're literally ignorant to our laws. They do not care. They are issued driver's license specifically so that they can have citizenship in order to vote. This is a political issue, and we are being told that we need to bring in more of these people who cannot drive.
Any reason why you're driving down the road with high beams on with traffic around you?
I'm not sure. What do you say?
Your high beams.
High beam. What is a high beam?
What is a high beam?
What do you mean, what is a high beam?
I don't understand.
How is this acceptable?
Bright light. The light.
Yes.
Oh,
how in the hell is this acceptable in my country? How in the hell are we allowing this? Why are we allowing this? Like, we are living in the most... I can't... There's so many things I could say. We are living in the most low IQ time in history. If we are living in a country that says we need to invite in thousands or millions of these same immigrants so that they can get a driver's license from the DMV for free, when they can't even speak English, they don't even know what a high beam is, they don't care about the speed limits, they abide by zero traffic laws, and then when they get pulled over, they are arrogant, aloof, and they don't even care. And I can tell you, I've pulled over so many men like this, so many foreign kind of drivers in the same context. They're always disrespectful, and I'm always respectful. They're always disrespectful. Unbelievable. Like, we need to have a standard, and I feel for this officer because I've been in this same guy's shoes. I've been in this situation. I've pulled over these kinds of people, and it's absolutely terrible. And we need to really, really put a check on immigration in this country for these reasons.
I don't see nothing.
Okay, when you drive down the road with your high beams on, you blind traffic around you. It's illegal to do that.
Oh, I can do that.
He has to talk to this guy like he's literally just out of driver's ed. This is how, like, the first time you get pulled over by a police officer, you just got your license. Let's just say you're 16 years old. You get out of you're in high school. You get your driver's license. You go out with your mom or your dad. You're getting your driving hours in. You get pulled over for the first time. This is like the way that cops will talk to you. This driver is a man who's probably like 35, 45. I don't know how old he is, but clearly not new. He has a CDL and doesn't seem to know any of our traffic laws here in the United States. And this is all the time.
No, they teach that in driver's ed. You're not allowed to drive
down the
road with high beams
on. I turn on the light because I don't see with your light is white. Your light is white. I don't see good.
What's my light got to do with it? I have factory low beams. Those are regular headlights. What's my lights got to do with anything?
Poor cop. I've been there, dude.
So you saw my lights and turned your high beams on to blind me?
No, because I don't see good. I don't see for your light is white. I don't see when you are close to me. I don't see good.
Okay,
all is black.
Why did you turn your high beams on?
To see better the street.
Okay. Why, when you saw me coming, why didn't you turn them off? Okay. Why didn't you turn them off when you saw me coming?
I don't understand good.
Because it's illegal to drive down the road with your high beams on with traffic approaching you.
He just doesn't even respond.
Don't stare at me with a blank stare. That necessitates an answer. It's illegal to drive down the road with your high beams on when traffic approaching you. So when I was approaching you, I even flashed my lights at you to tell you you have your high beams on. Why didn't you turn your high beams off?
What world am I living in, dude?
Because I see when you turn.
Okay, that's after I passed you. When I passed you.
Why? Why do we have to live like this? We don't have to live like this. We don't have to live with people who can't even drive from a completely different country, who don't respect our traffic laws, don't understand our laws, don't even respect our country. we don't need this. We can just say no. If you're a cop, you can just say no, you know. You can, like, protest this. You can do something about it. Like, honest to God. I mean, how much longer is law enforcement going to just continue accepting this? And again, I say this as a cop myself. Like it's gotten to a point to where we have to say something about it. Keeping the oath is to expose these people. Keeping your oath to the Constitution and our country, is to expose these kind of drivers. Because we are living in a world of social media where everybody's on their phone and preoccupied and distracted. And again, distracted driving even. And so we ought to be talking about this more often. Again, when I look at this cop, I see a cop who is just like me. I know exactly what he's going through, and I completely empathize with his situation because I've seen this, and it's unacceptable. We can't call ourselves a serious country or a first world country when we allow these people in and to get a driver's license and to completely violate the traffic laws. Now, one might say, well, this is only one video. Okay, well, let's talk more about it then. Let's see what the real thing is here. We have the slave trade in Libya 2026. How can black people be sold on African soil by Arab invaders? So white people are the problem. So white people are called the people who started the slave trade when it was the Jews. And at the end of the day, we're supposed to believe that white people have white privilege. We're so bad. We enslaved black people. But here today in 2026, Libyan people are literally slaves to Arabs.
These men are migrants with dreams of being smuggled to Europe by sea.
Excuse me, can I speak? We are going inside. Have a seat in your place. Have a seat in your place.
They come in their thousands from Niger, Mali, Nigeria, Ghana. It's hard to believe that these are the lucky ones, rescued from warehouses like the one in which we witnessed the auction. They're sold if those warehouses become overcrowded or if they run out of money to pay their smugglers. Of these rescued men, so many here say they were held against their will. It doesn't take us long to find victory.
Just take us home. No food, no drinking water. Just take us home. Want to go? No food, no water, nothing.
Victory was a slave.
We know that some people are being sold.
Yes.
Some people are being sold. Is this something you've heard about? Can you tell us about
sure.
that? Tell us.
I was sold.
What happened?
On my way coming, I was sold. Merciless beating. If you look at most of the people here, if you check their body, you see the mark, they're beating. With electric, even your boot, they took something like a sharp object. Understand? Most of them lost their.
It was an Arab man that used gun to hit my eyes. You see what I'm passing through. I can't ever tell. I don't just know. For those Arab people, we cannot tell. We just pray to God to save us, we Nigerians, another country from the hands of the Libyans. At least they should try their best. I've spent 2 years plus. But for me staying there now, it's close to 7 months. It was because of the sweat. On my body have got white. We have not taken our bath since 2 months.
And again, these men are being enslaved by Arabs.
If some people should open their body, they fix pipe inside their private part, pipe to peace. Tell some people to open their body. They should put their body for you. You will see that these people have finished us. Is it bullet wound? Is it the gunshots? Even when we are going to eat, they beat us. We are going in.
We have over 150 Nigerians inside the place. And in my presence, 3 Nigerians were shot dead and thrown into a river in a place called Suleiman. The youth, they should get involved in politics. Me, I like politics very well. You should get involved in politics. If you people are in politics, you people can bring a change. All these people are old. These leaders are old. They don't care about us. Let's come together with the youth. Let's sanitize each other. Nigeria can be better through us.
Can you imagine if it was Americans being sold as slaves in Libya? Can you imagine if Europeans were being sold as slaves in Libya?
Well, yes, we can, because it's happened to us before. I mean, throughout history, the Ottoman Empire enslaved white Europeans. I mean, it's happened. But at the end of the day, the point is, they're always saying how white people are so bad and how white people are the slave owners. Well, it looks like it's the Arabs today in 2026. But who gets really annihilated? It's the white people. The white people who abolished slavery, thanks to Abraham Lincoln. And at the end of the day, we are the bad guys somehow. when the Jews started the slave trade, you have these Nigerians who are being sold by Arab invaders to their countries in Nigeria, like these people just mentioned. And this is just one instance. And so it's like, so tell me again that this wouldn't happen in America. So let's listen to more videos about the Muslim takeover that really isn't happening in America. Despite the Muslim population being low in Indiana, a bunch of mosques are being built. So again, let's listen to this girl and what she has to say about it.
Mosques that had been built in this location. Why are Muslims trying to take over rural America? And other fun questions we could ask ourselves. I was recently in Indiana on a work trip in a place where the Muslim population is extremely low. Despite this, while we were driving, my Uber driver pointed out to me 2 huge mosques that had been built in this location, and while we continued driving, we actually went past the third that was under construction, newly being built. Like I said previously, this area has a very small Muslim population, so why on earth would they be putting in so much money to build 3 different mosques? Something tells me that very soon in that area, what they're going to see is an influx of immigration, of Islam, of the Muslims running for their local governments, slowly but surely taking over, similar to what happened in Texas, what happened in certain areas of Florida, specifically Orlando. And they're going to have a problem sooner than they know it, and they know exactly where they're targeting, because not everything has to be violence. Some things can be subversion, some things can be a slow peel of the Band-Aid until it's too late to do anything about it.
So this woman is right. The Muslim population in Indiana is very
low.
To this. It's only around 41,000. It's only about 6% of the state's population. So why are there new mosques being built? Well, there's already 30 mosques and Islamic centers across the state. That seems kind of high relative to the Muslim population. And there are new builds happening. So if you try to get an estimate, you always have to put high estimates, because AI and anything you search for will always lowball everything with Islam. They're always very conservative with anything you ask about Muslims. So even with this, it still is very vague on what is being built. It says for new builds, there's about 5 significant projects that are in development. They are doing expansions. There is expansions of smaller Islamic centers throughout the state. So you got to wonder, you know, they have a low Muslim population, 0.6%. They've already got 30 mosques. They're building more. They're expanding their existing ones. So my guess is they are going to experience a new boom of Muslim immigration. I'm sure every state, if we looked into it, would find the same thing. This is the Islamic takeover of America right now.
So again, these aren't just like one video here, one video there. It's like everything you see. And everywhere you go, you will find this. I live in Michigan. I went to Somerset Mall not too long ago. You want to know what I saw? I saw thousands. Like, it was insane. I felt like a foreigner in my own country. It's absolutely horrible. And at the end of the day, you know, listen, I have nothing against Muslims, but what I do have against them is this. You come over to our country, you bring your own customs to our country, you are taking up space, you are living on the welfare system most of the time. Many of them do not work, and those who do work usually own some kind of business that was given to them and allowed to be opened, and basically they're given all these money and grants by these corrupt politicians like Rashida Tlaib or AOC or Ilhan Omar, who is not even an American citizen, I'm pretty sure. And literally these people call for the death of America. They literally call for this country to die. And they are just letting them in. So these politicians who are letting these people in droves are just absolutely taking over. And they want to invoke Sharia law and replace the United States Constitution and our Bill of Rights, our legal system, with a Sharia law and Sharia legal system, which supersedes the United States and our Constitution. So this is, whenever these people say, well, we believe in your rights and we believe freedom of speech is great in America. Well, it's like, well, you're using it against us in order to destroy the Constitution from within, and you know it. And a lot of their imams will say that. So this is absolutely happening. It's happening in Dearborn, Michigan, and it's happening in Texas. It's happening in Florida. It's happening everywhere. It's happening in New York City right now. The very place where 3,000 people were killed by Jews and Muslims together on an operation, essentially, and the United States government, CIA, yes, but mostly the Israelis. Again, we have the dancing Israelis. Yes, this is all fact. And then you have these Muslims who had hijacked the planes, and all part of this larger process. And the same city that said, we will never forget, never mind, they forgot. You now have a Muslim governor who wants to invoke Sharia law, and they're literally giving Islamic call to prayers. And so again, and these calls to prayers are not peaceful. So let's keep going. Let's keep watching more videos on the Islamization of America, one adhan at a time. So here's one more video. 5 a.m. call to prayer. Culver City. There is no God but Allah, is what he's saying. It's part of this prayer. So let's read the prayer. Allahu Akbar, Allah is the greatest of your God, your laws and your civilization. There is no God but Allah, a direct rejection of Christianity, Judaism, and every other belief system. Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. All previous prophets and revelations are obsolete. Only Islam remains. Come to prayer, come to success. True success exists only through the submission to Islam. Muslims are not only pushing it for public broadcast for the adhan across America, they have already successfully implemented in multiple cities and states, including Minneapolis, New York City State, Hamtramck in Dearborn, Michigan, and Paterson, New Jersey. They are moving piece by piece, city by city, neighborhood by neighborhood to normalize the supremacy declaration of public spaces. What started as temporary religious accommodations is steadily becoming standard policy. The King Fahd Mosque, built with Saudi royal money and once led by imam tied to the 9/11 hijackers, is just one outpost in this larger ideological project. This is the slow, deliberate Islamication of America, one loud adhan at a time, and the majority of the GOP are sitting back watching and enjoying it. Because most of the GOP is bought off by Israel, so they're told to be quiet, don't talk about it. Imagine this at 5 a.m. in the morning, every single morning, and it's not even your religion. And for those who are atheists, atheists are very attracted to this because they don't understand Scripture. They've never studied Scripture, so they really think that this is the right way to go about it. But it's like, again, let's just watch more videos of really what's going on with this, and you'll get what I'm saying. Pakistani-born Zul Muhammad ran for mayor of Carrollton, Texas. Muhammad ran for the mayor of Texas. Did you hear that sentence? It sounds a little strange and un-American, doesn't it? He openly declares, I do not support the U.S. military. I do not support the United States, a Muslim immigrant who despises America running for office. This is why only natural-born citizens should be eligible. Obviously, this is common sense. I can't believe I have to make a live stream about any of this stuff. I can't believe that I live in a country where we have to talk about this crap because it is literally it is the only time, one of the only times in history that this has happened where we have so opened our doors to this. Honestly, again, your ancestors fought to keep this outside of your country to protect our religious moral values and our country in America, and these people are shitting all over that openly. And people are just so scared and afraid to talk about it, so afraid to make a statement, so afraid of losing their little jobs that they will never speak about this issue. And then you have these cops in the back who are just like, well, I'm just here to work. I'm just getting paid by the hour. Well, I don't want to lose my job. Well, I don't want to be called a racist. Fools. Listen to this. So this is an enemy of America. He literally just said right there, I don't support the United States. I don't support the U.S. military. Veterans did not make sacrifices, this Muslim says, Muhammad, who is running for the mayor of a town in Texas. Absolutely crazy. And you people out there, maybe not you, but the people you know in your town, there are people and liberals who are defending this because they don't understand anything and they don't study anything. They have no concept of reality. Even police officers like this guy in the background. He is an example of another cop who is just allowing this to happen, the complete and total takeover of his country. And I understand. You're just trying to honor the freedom of religion and freedom of press. Yeah, the freedom of religion and press of these people so that they can destroy the freedom of religion and press entirely under Sharia law. Understand something about religion. Listen, your country is a Christian country if you live in America. And the reason we're a Christian country is because we believe in the forgiveness of our enemies, but we also believe in self-defense. We also believe in having a nice place to live. We believe that cleanliness is tidiness and tidiness is heavenliness. Like all of these things, we live in a first world country because of these ideals, these principles we have as a Christian country. We respect one another because we assume that they will give us respect in return. We treat others the way they would want to be treated. Well, are they treating us the way that we would want to be treated? No. I don't want to be treated like this by these people. Is that enough? Is that enough for you to say anything, or am I the bad guy still? It's like, why are people like me the ones who are demonized when it's like these people aren't practicing the golden rule? They don't come over here respecting this country, and so I'm supposed to respect them and their religion and their way of life, which is literally to destroy our country and to change it into something else. My ancestors came over here to Scotland from Scotland in 1752. My ancestors were police officers, blue-collar people, military. So I don't want to hear anything about these kinds of people with his fat beer belly and this Muhammad, who is not even of this country, admittedly doesn't respect this country. These people need to be deported immediately and with their families, and they should never be allowed to come back to America. Period. Common sense. And if you don't agree with that, you are the problem. So again, completely disrespectful to America. They couldn't care less about our country. So again, here's another woman exposing more of the Muslim takeover happening and what the Quran really talks about. This girl was a former Muslim, grew up as a Muslim, so she has a lot to say about this and a pretty good position on it. People need to listen to this. For God's sakes, listen.
Listen very carefully to the verse that is being recited here.
I stand before you as the first Muslim mayor in our city's history. This year, as the first Jummah that I have attended in that new position.
Oh, the killing of the infidels by the sword.
For context, I grew up Muslim. I studied the Quran and Islam for years. I wore a hijab on my head. And the verse that you just heard is from the Quran. It's Surah 9, verse 5. And it's often referred to by many scholars as the verse of the sword. I mean, this guy kind of has no shame. On January 2nd, 2026, 16 different landmarks across the state of New York were illuminated in green to mark the launch of Muslim American Heritage Month. One of those sites being the One World Trade Center. The green lighting was chosen because green is typically associated with the religion of Islam. For some people, especially the families that were affected by 9/11, that symbolism felt like a slap in the face. Felt like it was a slap in the face to me. And you want to know where I was during 9/11? I was in a Muslim private school with a hijab on my head, and we had to evacuate.
Again, imagine this girl. Thank God she's an American, right? Because she's like talking about the issue as somebody who's lived and experienced this other religion, of which people really think is peaceful because they are insane or they haven't done any research and they sit around being entertained all day not doing the research. But again, look at how beautiful this woman is. And this is a woman who was forced to wear an all-black hijab, some scary, terrifying-looking thing. And then, again, so Muslims would argue with me that, well, what about the old-time Christians? What about a nun? Yeah, they can show their face. Yeah, it is modesty. Yeah, we understand and believe in that too. At the same time, there's nothing wrong with beauty. There's nothing wrong with, beautifying actual beauty. And this is a beautiful woman. And so we can't, so it's like in America, they don't want us to have that. Could you imagine every woman walking around being whipped by belts and literally treated like dogs and never being able to show even their ankles, or they get literally tortured or sometimes even killed and raped? That is part of their religion. And here I get censored because I talk about it. It's ridiculous, but it's the truth.
Because people were calling the school and threatening to you-know-what. I can't even imagine what the families of the victims of 9/11 must have felt when they walked by the One World Trade Center and it was lit up green for the launch of Muslim American Heritage Month. What? And now we see a video circulating online of the mayor's first Jummah prayer as mayor. verses recited? What's going on? As an Arabic speaker who can read Arabic, I can confirm to you that that is indeed what that verse translates to. Other passages that are often discussed alongside this one is Surah 9, verse 29. This verse speaks about fighting opposing groups until they submit to
Fight those who do not believe in Allah or in the last day. Yeah, we covered that at the beginning of the stream.
political authority and pay a tax that's called the jizya. And the jizya is meant to subdue and humiliate them. All of this, of course, raises a much larger question about symbolism, context, and how historical religious texts are viewed in modern political spaces. Let's just be honest for a second. If any other religion recited wartime scripture while a politician was present, would people stay silent about it? Honestly.
No, they wouldn't. But again, we love immigrants so much that we'll just bring them into our country and, have no problem with it. Here's another Muslim. A former Sharia law survivor gives a stern warning to a Texas school. He knows the deal. Wake up.
My name is I am a Sharia law survivor, was born in Iran, and I'm here to tell you everything that you're doing here has been done in UK and Canada. You have no idea where this halal money is going to, how they're funding these mosques, and what kind of the hell is coming towards your country right now. It's 2026. I escaped that
He's right.
years ago, and I'm seeing the same thing happening over here in the United States. You have no idea. There's 3 levels of Sharia law that is happening. Right now, it's level 1. They come in peace. They come and tell you, we just want rights. We want to be part of it. Level 2 is what's happening in the UK right now. You have 2-tier policing. You have cops who are not working with Muslims right now. You have Sharia law courts over there. Now they're pushing blasphemy laws over there. And one of them is called M103. It's in Canada. People are being jailed. People are being raped in the United States, and nobody's doing anything about that.
Nobody's doing anything about it. Nobody's doing anything about it. It's crazy. And if you talk about it, you're racist. If you talk about it, you're censored and you're controlled. That's why I have no followers. That's why I had a YouTube channel that was growing fast on Ecker Geopolitics. We were doing great, getting 700 views, 15,000 to 20,000 impressions per episode. Now we get 39 impressions. The last stream I did had 9 impressions and 3 views because YouTube is a mass censorship platform, and because I'm talking about this issue. Now, I have also talked about the Israeli occupation of the United States, of which these people who are overrepresented in power are allowing this to happen through open borders. This is Gog and Magog. This is a war. This is the great war of the Christians versus the Muslims. They don't want you to know about this, but this is a planned operation. Did you know that the Jews called the Muslims the broomstick of the West? And the Muslims don't know this. The Muslims don't understand this. The Muslims don't even listen to anything the Jews say. They disregard everything they say. But whatever they think, the Jews are in control right now, and especially of the United States. And so it's crazy to believe that this is all happening. And Christians are put right in the middle of 2 trains heading straight at them at full speed. And this needs to be absolutely pushed out. We do need another crusade. We have to have another crusade.
Level 3 is what happened to my country, Iran. The hell I lived under. The apostasy laws, blasphemy laws, the hangings. These people do not change. They use taqiyya to come to your country, lie to every single one of you, and tell you they're different. They're not. Even if Florida, if you look at any of these mosques, they're pushing infidels. They're saying we want to kill infidels, we want to take over their lands. They're openly calling this out. Go to X and watch any of them straight up talking about this. And people like you are, I love America. I love America. Like right now, when I was in Iran living in that hellhole under Islam, I was praying to God to come to this country one day and please bring me. And this shit is happening. I'm so sorry, but I'm just crying. As you done. Thank you.
And that is somebody who actually respects our country. That's actually somebody who's lived under Sharia law. That's a real Muslim, former Muslim, who lived under Sharia law in Iran, and he's seen what they do. So you can call this propaganda all day. I think it's the truth. You tell me this is more propaganda, right? Elon Musk calls for Muslim Imam Abdullah Farouk, Boston, Massachusetts, to be deported after he declares white Americans should go back to Europe. Islam is America's future, or without Islam, America will meet its demise. Listen to this. What is the difference between the Islamic Jihad terrorists and these Muslims versus the Zionists that are taking over our country right now? What is the difference in the way they talk? They talk the same. They say, we're going to replace you. You should leave your country. White people are bad. Like, get out of our country. Like, we don't want you here. If you're going to hate on America, if you're going to try to take over our country and change it into this thing that it isn't what it should be. There was nothing wrong with our country before we allowed in mass migration. And these kinds of immigrants who hate America hate you. They hate you. And I say this as an analyst. I try so hard to be collected. But it's like the level of brainwashing and psychological propaganda that is being inflicted on both sides, from both sides, by the Zionists and then by the Islamic people. And again, these people are really coming in here to take over America and to destroy Christianity, Jews and Christians. They sound nothing different to me when I hear them. And so it's like, we need to have just a Christian country. There needs to be a revival of Christianity, and until we have a Christian country, an educated place where people understand what this all means, we're going to lose our country.
Calling upon God Almighty to send a European home, brother. Go back where you came from, because you've done nothing but cause hell in this country and all over the world. And you can hear me, America. You know you've done it. This is not the land of the free and the home of the brave. It's the land of the coward.
You're a coward. You literally fled your country to come over to America and try to change America into something else because your own country didn't want you there. And so instead of fighting for your own country, instead of defending your country from us bad Americans who are destroying your country right now, by the way, instead of defending your own country, you were a coward, and you fled your country to come over to America because it's so peaceful and nice here, and we give you free stuff that you wanted to exploit and abuse our system, and now you want to change it into where you came from. Not going to happen, buddy. Not going to happen ever.
Islam is America's future, or without Islam, America will meet its demise.
No, it won't. We'll be fine without you. We really don't need you here.
This is one nation under God. I believe that even if you lie.
Yeah, your God, which is Allah, right? Muhammad doesn't believe. You believe that all the Christians should fucking die? Yeah, who's the real God here? Who's the real holy religion? It's not your religion. You literally are a violent religion who has been completely subverted by Satan.
And even if you lied about this, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal.
Ah, see, they love to use our Constitution against us. This is what they do. They come into our country, they use our Constitution against itself in order to destroy the Constitution. They use our freedom of speech, our First Amendment, to abuse and to verbally antagonize our system through social media and on politics so that they can change it into where they came from, which is Sharia law, which is horrible kind of just injustice and taxation and raping and grooming. All of these things exist, and you are not supposed to talk about it.
You never believed that. And you didn't consider your fellow men as being your equal or fair. You're a bunch of cowards because you don't want to get on the basketball court with us because we'll get you. You don't want to let us on the baseball court.
No, because we don't feel the need to, because we're a loving country, and we wanted to give you a place to stay because you're getting freaking annihilated by Israel. You're welcome, by the way. Thanks to the Christians, you actually get to live here. Because of our Christian country, you get to exploit our system, buddy. You get to abuse our system. You get to annihilate our Constitution and try to, because we are an inviting religion. We do actually want people to have humanity and dignity and rights. We care about women having humanity and dignity and rights, which Muslims do not. And you have women who are converting to this religion. They have no idea what they're doing. They have no idea what they're getting into. You have men who are converting to this religion. You got no idea what you're doing and what's really in for you. If America is not a Christian country, I could promise you this, we will be a third world country. You will see people hanging from street lamps and street poles. You will see death. You will see stabbings from Muslims onto white people, regardless of your religion. You will see forced conversions. You will see the whipping of women. You will hear about hundreds and thousands of young white women being raped the same way we did in fucking Britain, in the UK. So I don't want to hear it from these people how their country is so peaceful and how their country is the answer. No, no, no. Your country has been led astray for a long time, and you have a lot of problems. And if it wasn't for America, you would probably all be gone because of Israel, by the way. And, you know, it's America who's fighting against these people. It is the American people, not the politicians, not the AIPAC, not the people who are selling out their country. No, the American people. We, the people who go to work every day, pay for your stay here so you can live here and enjoy our benefits, and so you can start businesses, so you can have freedom. All of this stuff is because of Christianity, not because of Islam. We were never an Islamic country. We were never a Jewish country. And so we invited you people in because we built such a great place for the world that we wanted the world to share in this manifest destiny. We actually wanted the world to experience this beautiful country, this beautiful land. And this is the same thing with Europe, and especially England. They invited these people in because they truly had built a first world society. It was like heaven. And so they said, you know, we can't keep this closed off to the whole world. We need to let everybody else in here. And so we did this in America and Europe, and we let these people come in. And what did they do? They just annihilated us because we allowed them to, and because we're scared, and because the average American doesn't want to fight back. The average European doesn't want to fight back. Not that they don't even want to fight at all. They don't even see this as a fight because they don't study history. They've never understood like how this actually worked throughout thousands of years. So it's very sad to see, at the very least. And the fact that nobody fights back or talks about it, the fact that we are getting censored by these social media platforms for talking about it, these people, and again, the CEOs of these companies who are censoring people for trying to expose this issue, these politicians who are doing this need to be rounded up, and they need to be jailed and thrown into a gulag and never given food, like starved. They should be treated like these Sharia law people, like these Islamic people would actually treat them. Honestly. But no, these people of Islam and Judaism want to come over here and do that to your average American. They want to steal your land. They want to take your property. And it's like, what the hell? We let you into our country. We are the reason you're enjoying all of these rights. So what are you talking about? Go back home. You're not home. And that's just how I feel. If you want to abuse our system, you want to tell us that our religion is the fake religion, I don't think so. When I look at the videos, I think your religion is the fake religion. I think Islam is a completely fake religion. I've done the research, too. It doesn't even make sense. There's hundreds of contradictions to the entire Quran. And again, at the end of the day, if there ever was a true religion, it's Christianity. Because it's obvious. What other religion is actually divine? What actual religion that you see, why is it all the good places, all the places that are nice in first world in the country, every place that exists that is nice, it just so happens to be a Christian country? How come any country that is occupied by either Arabs or Zionists seems to be completely destroyed, whether it be by bombs from the Zionists or whether it be by these mosques and these violent rape gangs and these stabbings and people who are wielding swords in the streets by Islam? So it's like, I don't think any of these religions are the right religion. I think both of your religions are wrong, and you're fighting over a satanic truth that doesn't exist. You are fighting for a lie. When you know that Christ is king, Christ is the way, and that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, for God so loved the world that he gave his one and only begotten Son, so that ever who should believeth in him should not perish but have eternal life. John 3:16. So don't tell me that this world is for Sharia or Islam. No, go home. And if you want the war, you'll get it. And the Crusades are coming again. If this is going to be the standard, if these people can't assimilate in America, you're going to get a fight. And it's not going to be good for you. You're already losing to Israel. What makes you think you're going to take on the United States when we wake up? Nothing. You should wake up. If you are Muslim and if you are Jewish, you should also think about what you're doing and what your people are doing. The Zionists. Think about how the optics actually look. Unbelievable. You won't. Disgusting. No, we're not afraid of that. Look at you. Look at you. Look at this guy's face. I really don't worry about my girl ever going with a guy like this, to be honest. I don't really worry about that too much. I don't think any self-respecting, attractive woman in America or Europe would really want to be with this high intelligent woman. No, they don't want to be with a guy who has this kind of face all the time. That literally looks like a demon. He looks like a demon. You sick Americans. He's in Boston, Massachusetts, calling Americans sick Americans. Are they? Do you really believe that? I don't think so. There's even some of you black people and brown people, he says. Jeez. Wonderful means whipping your women and cloaking them in a black, horrifying outfit, never allowing them to show their ankles or their face. Really? Like, yeah, when our women were modest, were more modest in the, like, hundreds of years ago or thousands of years ago, yeah, we actually still allowed our women to show their faces. They'd wear dresses, they'd look nice, they'd look presentable, they'd wear, they'd wear a nice wig, or they'd wear their hair nicely or whatever. Like, your people are literally slaves to you. Like, you are enslaving your own people from freedoms. You guys can't even talk against anything. You guys have no freedom of speech. That's why you come to America, because you won't get it in your home country. You won't get to talk the way you talk if you're in your home country doing it. Unbelievable. These people are clueless. The little people. Now it's always victimization. They want to target people with victimization. They're the little people. Are they? They're the little people. Well, last time I checked, you people are outproducing everybody else. Your birth rate's higher than everybody else's, and you do it on purpose, specifically because you want to take over America. And you say it all the time in your mosques. Come on. Give me a break. You're the little people. You people are trying to be the big people. You people are nothing, actually. You're smaller than little people. And you're little people because you are so far gone from the truth. Right. Looking for a chance of life, and then you're swinging around machetes and swords in the streets, and you're talking like this. That's looking for a chance of life so they can be like you. Talking like you and hating on America is looking for a chance of life. You want to come to America, call America bad, you dirty Americans, he says, and then you want to flip it and say people just want to come to America to have a life. Well, what is it? Do you hate America, or do you just want to, like, talk shit? Do you hate America, or do you love America? I think you're just deceptive and you're a liar. Unreal. Elon's right. We need to absolutely deport people like this. These are absolutely just anti-American traitors. One more clip. I could go on and on and on.
Now, I hope that can come in a very peaceful way. I hope that we can do that in a way, where there's no bloodshed. But if the Muslims have authority and they have the ability to remove oppression, they must remove the oppression. So we believe man-made law is oppression because they are implementing non-Islamic law and violating their own sanctity. No, I think there are two types of jihad in which people are engaging in today. One is the jihad of the word, and the other is jihad of the sword. So in Britain, we are engaged in the jihad of the word. And, it's as important.
And the sword.
To remove the ideological foundation, and if you like, the pillars of Western civilization, like democracy and freedom and secularism, and to expose them, and to bring back people to worshipping the one true Lord, which is Allah.
This is terrorism. This is terrorism. This is what domestic terrorism looks like. This is a massive national security threat. And any American, especially police officers, especially members of the FBI, members of the government, if you don't agree with this, then you are the domestic terrorist. If you don't fight against this, you are the domestic terrorist. These people are horrible to our country.
Afterwards in one of the homes, and he shows up to give his condolences to his siblings, his uncles, his aunts. This is not a religious ritual. It's a reception in the home after what usually and there is no liquor, there is no haram, then it's okay for him to attend and leave.
So again, the question was, can a Muslim attend a Christian funeral? And he says, no, you can't. Like, what? These people are crazy. This is absolutely insane.
America, and you land at J. Kennedy, what is the first thing that you see? The statue of what? Liberty. Liberty. Come on, man, they're gonna fold stuff that was revealed 1,500 years ago. What is it? You're a smart man, come on. For that day, you assume that you're living in America, and all these things are evolving around you, and all these legislation. What is the assault against Allah? Dare you assume that they are trying to get you not to believe in the existence of Allah? They want you to strip Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of his authority over you. Yeah, believe that he created, believe that he provides, but he doesn't legislate. To be the creator, then the creator has the authority to legislate. Jihad. Believers have to put their acts together to resist corruption. Victory from Allah, but Allah first wants you to initiate it. How it's going to work? You seek the means, you trust Allah, your heart is connected with Allah, Allah will give you victory. Regardless of your number, regardless of your resources. That is why Badr is a day for God, for the Ummah.
So again, more admitting that they want to take over America. Let's keep going a little bit longer. Well, till 9 o'clock. I got a ton of videos of this.
In the fact that we're here in the great state of Florida, part of our building is building a pipeline of leaders. I want to see, inshallah, one day, governor of the state of Florida is a Muslim. Everybody say inshallah. The House has Muslims in there. Say inshallah. Senators, Muslim senators, say inshallah. Muslims are
This is what Sneeko is talking about. If you're my age, you know who Sneeko is. He's a live streamer. And he's in New York, and he says this isn't the state of New Yorkistan. Inshallah, every single household will be Muslim. Soon your city will look just like this. Unbelievable. And then he says, fuck you, and literally says it right to the camera with complete disdain, and even mocks people who are against it. He says, oh no. So nobody talks about that, his attitude while he says it. Complete arrogance and hatred and disdain towards America. These people are really asking for a crusade that they're not going to be too happy about. They're going to suffer if they keep this going.
Their religion, they defend their principles, what they believe in. They don't apologize about jihad. They're not afraid of jihad. It's a part of who we are. The Muslim is an individual who, part of his rojula, being a man, is not our wives do jihad. We do jihad.
They just admit it all day long. We keep hearing how Muslims are a peaceful people, but they literally admit all of this. They admit all of it. So we have some people actually doing something about it.
Christians in Nigeria. Think about this. More than 62,000 Christians have been slaughtered since 2000 by radical Islamic terrorists in Nigeria. You heard that right, 62,000. And just this year alone, more than 7,000 Nigerian Christians have been murdered because of their faith alone.
Crazy.
Turn on the TV without hearing about Israel's so-called mass genocide of Palestinians every day.
That is happening.
And yet when it comes to 62,000 Christians being slaughtered by radical Muslims, it's radio silence.
And censorship. But again, we have to also talk about the fact that these Zionists are buying off all of our politicians, and we do have a Jewish supremacy country in our country as well. That's absolutely happening. That's part of why America is so demonic today, and why our country is so demonic, because it's being overrun by Israeli occupiers, and they live completely differently. They are not Christians. They do not believe in Christ, and that is a fact. And the people allowing these Muslims into these countries and causing all of the mass migration just so happens to be the Jews, because of the war they are inflicting on their country. So again, at the end of the day, this is all by design. This is Gog and Magog, the war of Christians versus Muslims, period. And then all to continue further the Greater Israel Project. If you talk about it, I could potentially be killed one day because of this. I don't care, because it's true.
Extreme ideology is straight from the pit of hell, and it has no place in American society.
True, it doesn't. I won't play that video because it's graphic, but in this video, if I were to play it, this Muslim stabs this white lady in the back with a knife. She lives, don't worry, but I can't play it because I don't want to get banned or censored. Trump says he spoke to Lindsey Graham minutes before Graham's death. Okay, so we've reached pretty much the end of this episode. It's already almost 9 o'clock. So that's my episode. A lot of this video talked about, again, the beginning of the episode, we covered a lot of Lindsey Graham's essential death, 71 years old. Some say cardiac arrest. Some say it was the Russians. Some say it was the Americans. It was an inside job, and we sent him there specifically because we had intel that he was going to be killed or whatever. Again, the timeline just doesn't add up from when he was leaving Ukraine and on Friday, and then, Saturday, hearing about his death. The logistics do not make sense, according to a lot of different analysts, like Larry Johnson, former CIA. A lot of these guys don't believe that Lindsey Graham just died of natural causes. I don't either. I think he was absolutely, I think he was assassinated, personally, and for whatever reason. Maybe it was the Russians. If it was the Russians, it would be obviously because Lindsey Graham has been very pro-Ukraine, supporting the entire drone movement, trying to pass bills into Congress, all this stuff. If it was the Americans, then it was because Lindsey Graham was basically continuing a war that we cannot afford to fight, and essentially providing aid to the Ukrainians and basically working as almost a Ukrainian asset, more loyalty to their country than ours and to our cause. So that would be my theory on it. And so at the end of the day, he was 71 years old. Lindsey Graham was a U.S. senator, and despite his pro-Israel stances and his loyalty to Israel first versus America first, despite his his checkered past, we also have to understand that this was a man. He lost his life. He died, and we should respect that and give our condolences. And it's in God's hands where he goes, where his spirit goes. Again, we also covered a lot of the Iran war, the blockade that has been reimposed by President Trump on the Iranians in the Strait of Hormuz to continue this war. Oil prices are now going up because of it. And then towards the end of the episode, we covered a lot of different imams talking about this Muslim takeover, what is happening, what is absolutely happening. But the red pill of this entire YouTube episode, this entire Rumble episode, this entire debate should be understanding that it is the Zionists on one side and it is Islam on the other side. They are two sides of the same coin. And they are really working at the same exact agenda, which is to destroy America, which is to get rid of these kind of founding fathers and their way of thinking. Anglo-Saxon men of white heritage, whether you like it or not, that's the American history, absolutely true. These Muslims will tell you that America was never a Christian country. Even John Adams said that. No, he didn't say that. You took that out of context. What John Adams said was that America is not only a Christian country, we are an exalted country, and who allows every religion of who will assume and assimilate into our country, not Muslims who will try to take over our country, or Jews who will try to take over our country by lobbyism and trying to take over our country by overrepresented power, which is happening. Okay? I know this episode may have been offensive to Muslims or Jews. If you're watching this, understand that I am not a racist. I do not have any kind of hatred towards any race whatsoever. My goal here is to truly, make people realize that our country is an occupied country. Again, my ancestors came here from Scotland and Ireland, 1752. On my dad's side, came from Germany, a lot of Swedish and Finnish DNA. I'm as Nordic as it gets. And essentially, I just hate seeing what's happening to my country. I feel like a foreigner in my own country. And so I think I hate seeing America die and becoming this atheist country, this Muslim country where people don't even understand what this religion is really all about. You have Christians who are converting to Judaism because they think these are the chosen people, and all of this madness, when really we should just try to honor the golden rule. You treat one another as you would want to be treated. We have to have respect for our fellow Americans. We have to enjoy the freedom of speech we have, but don't use it against your own Constitution, of which will destroy our Constitution. Understand that all of the freedoms you have, every right you have to hate against America, is because of our Constitution, is because of our country and these founding fathers. And of course, because these founding fathers believed in Jesus Christ. And so Christ is king. And until this country realizes that, we are going to lose our country completely. And it should be understood and agreed upon. Until that day comes, we're going to continue seeing this go downhill. And so that's my stance. If you listen to this and if you were offended, I'm not sorry. You needed to hear it. And we're going to continue talking about this movement of not just the Muslim takeover, but also the Israeli occupation of the United States, which is happening through H.R. 8800, the National Defense Authorization Act. I don't say these things as a racist. I don't say this as some kind of white supremacist. I say this as somebody who is a police officer. I believe in my country. I took my oath to my country, the United States, and the American flag. And ultimately, I believe in the story of our country. I believe in the future and the manifest destiny of our country. I believe in the books I've read. I'm covering the eloquent story of everything we've accomplished and all of the inventions and everything we've achieved, all of the freedoms we have, everything that makes this country great was because of a Christian foundation to this country. And ultimately, above all else, this is really a national security issue. We are at an existential point in this country where our country is truly in danger, and if we don't fight back, if we're too afraid of being called racists, or you're too afraid of being called hateful and all of these things that aren't true, and you know it, then we're going to lose our country. You need to stand up for what your ancestors did, and there has never been a time where we have so openly opened our doors and our borders to these foreign immigrants who have no love for America, our country, understanding of our laws, and it's been displayed in this entire live stream. Hopefully you go back and watch it again. You can see just in these videos I've displayed. But we have to take back America, and it takes chasing the truth first and believing in what our country actually stands for, which is Jesus Christ above all. And until that day comes, until we have a nation of which the majority believes in this, we will lose our country to enclaves of different religions and tribes of whom seek to destroy our small towns and all of these small places of which we enjoy our freedoms. And people like me will be censored for it, might even be killed for it in the future with the way things are going. Project Zephyr, Project Pogo are in motion. And if you don't know what those are, David Goldberg of Mossad, and he was also Silicon Valley Tech CEO. You can look him up. He's talked a lot about this on his show before he died in 2019. So these things are in motion. And wake up, America.